Hi, everybody. So, welcome to another episode. Today, we're going to talk about Hygral fatigue and what it is, what it causes, and how to avoid it. So, I'm Adele of Natural Roots NYC, nature based hair, body, and herbal products, and plenty of herbal tea blends and tinctures. So, right now, we're going to get into this episode. So, yeah, we're going to talk about Hygral fatigue. So, pretty much it's a thing of moisture overload to the hair, even though everybody says moisture, 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 but you can have too much of a good thing too, like everything else, right? So when your hair is moisturized, your hair is less prone to breakage, right? And tangles. But when you get too far into the moisture, your hair could become on the opposite side, it could become weak and start breaking. So that's when we get into too much moisture. So pretty much when you have hygral fatigue or moisture overload, you might see, is when your cuticle is so damaged because of so much moisture. And then your cuticle swells up and it grabs so much moisture that it becomes like a mush, kind of like I think about spaghetti when you overcook it and that how it just looks like a muck of spaghetti. So after a while of being wet and keeps expanding and grabbing all this water, it becomes weak. Then your hair will start to break. So you say, "Oh, my hair is breaking," and I keep it moisturized. It might be over moisturizing it. Everybody thinks your hair starts breaking because only it's dry, but it can also break when it's too moist. So it's a few things that can even cause this. You deep condition too long or even too often. Too many of those overnight deep conditions. That's too much of a good thing again. It's adding more damage. And another thing is moisturizing your hair all the time and not letting it dry. Like once you moisturize it, let it dry. Because what's happening is your cuticle keeps opening and closing every time it's wet, dry, closes. So it's like this constant activity to the cuticle. After a while, it gets weak. Wetting it all the time, like constantly, maybe putting refreshers. You put it on then, now, and then in a little couple hours you spray it again. So it never dry from the first treatment. Also, washing your hair too much can cause some hygral fatigue. And co-washing, because it's again conditioning. So imagine you're co-washing all the time, and then you deep condition overnight. That's a lot of moisture. That cuticle is going to turn to mush, and then you're going to start seeing that breaking. So then that's from that end is going to start affecting the porosity, right? Because the porosity determines if the cuticle is open too much or closed too little. So now this hygral fatigue is going to give you high porosity hair because the cuticle is staying open too much, which is going to lead to, again, breakage, tangles, and sucking up too much moisture. And then another thing is not using enough protein. Because remember, protein keeps the hair in a good formation, keeps it strengthened, and all of that. So if you put in too much moisture and nothing to keep the structure, you can get the hygral fatigue once again. Let's see, and now, if you recognize any of this stuff, you might say, I wonder if I have hygral fatigue. So the first sign that you can tell is if your hair is not elastic. So if you stretch it out and it doesn't go back to the original stretch, it might be fatigued, tired. It's tired of the moisture. It's giving me too much moisture. So it can affect your curl pattern, your your curls could be looser than they usually are. Your hair, like I said, could feel gummy, like that spaghetti that's overcooked, and it feels limp, like it just looks like just flat. So now we know what it is, what it looks like. So let's see how we can prevent it. So, like we said, implement some proteins into your regimen, especially if you have high porosity, because you're already prone to this because your cuticle is open most of the time, losing moisture, but also absorbing, because it's just like an open door, like, come on in, water, come on in, creams, butters, everybody. Then before you know it, you have no curl pattern, breaking, and all this crazy stuff is happening. So you can have keratin, you can have silk proteins. There's also wheat proteins. And our products use the quinoa and the baobab. Don't wet your hair as much. If you get your hair wet, make sure it's dry before you re-wet it again, to give the hair time to, get itself together, dry, and close back down. You can do pre-poo, where you put the shampoo or the oils in first, kind of close up the cuticle so not too much water can come in. So the oil is going to, remember, oil seals water in. So you put that on and then you wash. So now you have a little bit of a filling before all that water can come in, because the oil is going to be blocking it. And it also reduces stress because it gives it some slip while you wash and rinse. And of course, the last thing is to use low pH products, because low pH, you're going to close the cuticle down, especially if you have that high porosity. Your cuticle is always up. So low pH products closes cuticle. Most products should be pH balanced, where it's, between like a 4 to 5 pH. This way the cuticle is going to be laying down. So you want to look for pH balanced product so that it's a low enough pH to help close your cuticle, protect you from hygral fatigue, help your high porosity, and, protect your moisture from losing and absorbing too much. So that's hygral fatigue. It's pretty simple. You just got to really pay attention to what you're doing and how long you're doing it for, especially if you have the high porosity. If you want to know more about high porosity, we'll do a video later. But pretty much it's, person's cuticle is open, so they lose moisture, but they also absorb too much moisture. And they get breakage and tangles. So your breakage could be from different things, not just dry hair, but also over moisturized, or you got to know your porosity. So we'll see you in the next video. Hope you learned some tips and can implement them soon. See you. Bye-bye.